Thank you very much for visiting my profile on LinkedIn. I put together this short presentation to introduce myself and to tell you a little bit about who I am, what it is that I do, why I do it, as well as to talk a little bit about the specific areas and industries that I apply my trade. My name is Kevin Stapley. I'm a qualified mediator with the ADR Institute of Canada. I also have a degree in psychology from Capella University, and I'm a certified workplace fairness analyst through an organization in Toronto called the Workplace Fairness Institute. A little bit more about who I am and what my background is. I have 20 years of conflict management experience so far. Most of that experience has come from my role in healthcare security, and in that role I was primarily involved in confrontation management and de-escalation. So as you may know, healthcare is one of the riskiest areas in industries of any industry for violence, abuse, harassment, and these sorts of behaviors. The reason for that is that the population in hospitals are highly vulnerable. There's often some cognitive impairments involved. It's very high stress and frightening for a lot of people. So my experience in intervening in well over 3,000 situations, ranging from everything from just a verbal disagreement to full-blown physical violence situations, I found that, as a rule, people are not very good at handling these types of situations, even the ones that have been trained. And I've done training as well, and I've found that still, what's being done so far in the industry is simply not good enough. People are still reverting back to their ingrained conflict responses. So, to help do something about this, I've created a program that I call the Confrontation, Aggression, and Liability Management Program, also known as the CALM program. So for this program, I've combined my 20 years of experience in de-escalation, my education in psychology, my conflict management training, my use of force training, and I've combined it with current research in confrontation management and de-escalation skills, and I put together a program that I truly believe will help people overcome their predisposition to fall back on old habits and teach them the new skills that they need and that they'll be able to apply to safely, effectively, and quickly de-escalate these high-risk, highly emotional situations. Beyond that, I also provide mediation services, conflict management coaching services, and training in ADR fundamentals. ADR stands for Alternate Dispute Resolution, which is basically conflict management skills. Now that you know a little bit about who I am, I want to tell you a little bit about what it is that I do. So I provide 4 core services to individuals and to organizations. First one is mediation. Now, if you're not familiar with mediation, what mediation is 2 parties that are in a dispute with one another meet with a neutral third party who is the mediator, and the mediator works with them to help them try to better understand not only how the conflict is affecting them, but how it's affecting the other person, and to help them look beyond just their positions and at the underlying reasons for their positions. And with this new knowledge and understanding, the mediator helps the parties work together to create a resolution that is suitable to both of them. Now, if mediation involves 2 or more people, the next service that I provide is very much like mediation, but conflict management coaching is a one-on-one process. So myself as a coach, I meet with somebody individually so that they can discuss and explore a conflict that they're having with somebody, so that they can get a better understanding of how it's affecting them, as well as how it might be affecting the other person. And the coach helps them to work through it so that they can come up with some sort of a strategy going forward to better help them manage not only that situation, but any situations that might arise in the future. So that's mediation, conflict management coaching. Another service that I'm happy to provide is fundamental ADR training. So this could be training in general conflict management skills, could be mediation. I find organizations in particular, there's a great advantage to having a conflict competent staff. Right? It increases productivity, it decreases absenteeism, it increases innovation, and it helps organizations attract and hang on to their top performing staff. Another area of training that I'm really interested in and focusing very heavily on is training students, children, in conflict management skills. I believe that if we can teach kids how to better do conflict, that as they grow up and they move into the workforce and they become the leaders of our world, that they're going to be in a much better position than we are and in our past generations. And beyond ADR training, as I've already mentioned, I also focus heavily on de-escalation training. So I've created my CALM program, and specifically to help people better deal with particularly intense, high stress, high risk confrontations. The benefit to this is that when people respond emotionally, then we lose our ability to think rationally. And if that happens on both sides, then what you end up with is an argument, or at worst you have an actual fight that goes on. People say and do things that they later regret and that they wouldn't normally do. So I want to train people how to keep calm and how to effectively guide the other person from an elevated or escalated state into a state of calm so that they can have a rational conversation together and try to resolve their issues. So these are the 4 key areas that I find myself working in. Now, there's reasons why I do what I do. First of all, experience has taught me that overall, people do not do conflict very well. And I love helping people who thought that it was hopeless and watching them shift their thinking. And I see this a lot in mediation and coaching. People come to me and they're very reluctant, sometimes to participate, but they also have very little faith that they're going to be able to resolve their issues. As far as they're concerned, they've tried everything. And the answer that I usually hear from people is that I've tried my best, but the other person is just too stubborn, just too difficult. But I'll hear that from both sides. But the neat thing to watch through mediation and coaching in particular is that as both sides work through the process, I get to see a fundamental shift as they gain some understanding in themselves and in each other. And before you know it, often they go from being, considered adversaries or opponents to suddenly working together on the same problem in a way that, they come up with a solution that's great for both of them. And that really is an amazing thing to see. And I believe that managing conflict effectively is a life skill. I don't think enough people are good at it, enough people learn it. And having strong conflict resolution skills can open doors for you, professionally and personally, and can change people's lives. I've experienced it myself through all my training and how it's changed me as a person and how I interact with people, and it makes a huge difference. Some of the areas that I apply my trade, my expertise, there are 4 primary ones. First one, the civil justice system. As a roster mediator with the Ontario Mandatory Mediation Program, I provide mediation services for civil matters that are before the courts. So a considerable amount of those would include motor vehicle accidents, personal injury claims, wrongful dismissals, and an assortment of business disputes, contract disputes, and things of that nature. Another area that I'm effective is in workplace disputes. So helping employees, employee-employee disputes, helping them work through it so that they can focus on, the reason for their employment so that they can get their work done effectively. And conflict in the workplace leads to all kinds of problems, not just for the individuals involved, but for organizations as a whole. A poor workplace culture where conflict isn't addressed well leads to all kinds of problems like reduced productivity, absenteeism, and the leaders spend more time than they really should just managing conflict within their departments, when that time could be much better spent on increasing productivity, in innovation, and in organizations that want to attract and keep their top employees, then they have to make sure that the situations that they find themselves in when conflict erupts, which it inevitably does, that there are processes in place to help them work through it quickly and productively. So I'm happy to be able to assist organizations in that fashion. Moving out of workplace, another area I can apply my skills is in community disputes. So this is primarily neighborhood disputes between neighbors. A lot has to do with things like fences or snow removal or loud music, pets, things of that nature. Now, our homes are where we live, right? Our house is our castle. And if we have to live in an environment where there's high conflict and we're not getting along with the people around us and it's arguing back and forth, it really can be a horrible experience for people. Now, lots of municipalities are starting to have community mediation programs. And the reason why they're doing this is not only is it a benefit to the neighbors, to the citizens, but it's also a better alternative than going to court. And the reason for that is with neighbors, there's a relationship involved. Even if you aren't best friends, that's okay. But most of the time, you still have to be neighborly. You still have to live next to this person. You're still going to see them, and you still have to interact with them. And the court system or bylaw enforcement and those organizations, they're designed to assign right and wrong. So if you take a dispute between neighbors to them, they're going to tell you which neighbor's right, which neighbor's wrong, and they're going to tell one neighbor they can or can't do something. Now, that might resolve the issue if it's a fence dispute or property lines or things of that nature, but it does absolutely nothing to make both sides feel better about the other. Now, mediation is a place where both issues can be addressed. The relationship issue can be addressed by having the two parties better understand one another and work together to come up with a solution. And that's much better for everyone. So I'm very happy to be able to provide these sorts of services. And if you live in the Kawartha Lakes area, I encourage you to reach out to me if you're having a problem with your neighbor. And finally, law enforcement. Now, 20 years working in private security, I've learned a few things about what it takes to do that job. And as you know, I focused a lot of my attention right now on training people in confrontation and aggression management skills. So people working in public policing, private security, they find themselves facing these sorts of situations on a regular basis. And having these skills effectively available to them is not even an option. So if you're a leader in a security organization, public, private, doesn't really matter, and you're looking to train your staff and bring up their conflict competence and confrontation management skills, I encourage you to reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you more about it. So those are the 4 areas of expertise. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about how I can help you. So my mediation and coaching services can help you resolve a conflict that's interfering with either your home or your work life. I provide group facilitation services and workshops designed to help improve employees' own conflict management skills. In the group facilitation, having a conflict competent facilitator is very important because it allows people to have a voice, but also to keep the meeting moving forward and being positive and productive. And I believe that learning to effectively manage confrontations and aggressive behaviors improves outcomes on both sides. And having that skill, you can apply that not just in your professional life, but also in your personal life. And how you deal with family, friends, people at the grocery store, anybody. Once you've learned how to deal with conflict and how to deal with confrontations, you can apply it all over the place. So that's a little bit about me. You can find more specific information by looking through the rest of my LinkedIn profile, which I encourage you to do. If you think that there's something here that I'm able to help you with, or you'd like more information about, I encourage you to reach out to me. And I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Take care. Bye-bye.